You guys done with the pastors? We're going to solve quadratic equations using the quadratic formula that we learned last time, and you guys all know the song for, right? We're going to sing the song one time. 1, 2, ready, sing. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I know you guys think I'm a dork right now, but wait until you get on the ACT test and you need it and you remember it, because they don't let you have cheat sheets there. And then you'll be glad that you know it, okay? All right. Okay, here we go. All we have to do is identify what A, B, and C are. We already know, right? What's A? A is 2. That's A. A is the coefficient of x squared. What's B? 12. Negative 12, right? It's the coefficient of x. And what is C? 5. It's a constant. So I always like, and I would suggest that when you solve these problems, that you do the same thing, that you list A, B, and C right here, because sometimes when you leave them in this, you forget the negatives. And you got to remember that B is negative, okay? Now, all we have to do is substitute and simplify. Substitute and simplify. Okay, so I'm going to move this up just a little bit. Okay. Right here, the negative b, I probably should teach you to say it as the opposite of b. But what is the opposite of b right here, everybody? It's 12, because b is negative 12. The opposite of negative 12 is positive 12. Don't forget that. Okay, the next part, the b squared. I always get students that will put b in their calculator and square it. The problem is when it's negative and they put it in like this, what do you think it's going to give you? It's going to give you negative 144. But really, what's negative 12 squared? It's positive 144, because you're going negative 12 times negative 12. This number will always be positive. When you put it in your calculator, by the way, you should put it in like that if you want to get the right answer. Okay? All right, now, minus 4 times A, which is 2, times C, which is 5. All divided by 2 times A, 2 times 2. All right, now, yes. That is a good question. What I like to do, is I like to pretend like that negative's not there at first, and I go 4 times 2 times 5, and then I subtract that from this number always. Because otherwise, students get mixed up. I want you guys, before you do this in your calculator, I want you to do this in your head. 4 times 2 times 5, I think you guys can all do that one. 40. Now I want you to go 144 minus 40. 104, right? Not that hard. I want you to always do it. Practice doing it in your head first, just so you can get some mental math. Then I want you to take your calculator and plug it in, because some of them are a little bit more difficult. Okay? Now take your calculator and just write 144 minus 4 times 2 times 5. Just to double check each time. Because this is where most students make their mistakes, is on the part that's underneath the square root, simplifying it. From past, I've been doing this for 22 years now, and I can tell you, even my really good students make mistakes right here sometimes, because they get the negatives, they get mixed up with the negatives and positives and everything. Okay, so we now have 12 plus or minus the square root of 104, all divided by 4, right? Sometimes when we get to this point, we are done. However, right now we are not. Can anybody tell me why? Why are we not done? Because 12 and 4 can divide, that's one reason. What else? Because 104, the square root of 104 can simplify. Do you guys remember? 104. What are two numbers that can go into 10? What's 2 times 2 goes into 104? We know for sure, right? What was that? 4 and 26 will work. What does 4 break down to? 2 and 2. What does 26 break down to? Okay. Are those prime factors? Yeah, remember doing this at the first of the year? Okay, we had to simplify these. Okay, what are we looking for here? Pairs. We have a pair right here. And these two we would call what? Loners. What do we do with pairs? You take one of them and put them outside the square root. And what do you do with loners? You times them together and put them inside. 2 times 13 is 26. So this breaks down to 2 square root of 26. So we're going to write over here. Yeah, we still have the 12. We're going to write it like this. 12 plus or minus 2 times the square root of 26 all over 4, right? Now, this is what we do next. We check to see if there's a number that will divide into all 3 of these numbers right here. Not the one that's in the square root, but these 3, because 2 goes into all 3 of them. And we're going to divide 2 into all of them. 2 will go into 12. How many times, you guys? 6. 2 will go into 2 how many times? Once. And 2 will go into 4 twice. And right there, you guys, is your answer. You divide 2. You divide 2 into all 3 of these numbers right here. Because it was simplified. If I did it the other way, let me show you. I could have factored a 2 out of the top. That would have factored to be 6 plus or minus the square root of 26, right? And then the bottom can break down to the 2 times 2. And this 2 will cancel that one. You end up with 6 plus or minus the square root of 26 over 2. Does that make sense? Yeah. If there's a number that will go into this one, you guys, if there's a number that will go into this one, and this one, just divide it into those 3 numbers, okay? That's what? If it doesn't go all 3, then you're done. Okay? I wouldn't worry about it. Like up here, Audrey was saying, well, 4 will go into 12. We could write it like this. We could write it like 3 plus or minus the square root of 104 over 2. But then we'd have to still simplify that down. And we'd basically get the same thing. Right here, 2 will still go into 6. We could rewrite this as 3 plus or minus the square root of 26 over 2, like that. But we generally don't. We usually leave it like this. Okay? So we could do that. Now, you guys, in your calculators, I want you to see that there are 2 answers here. Because remember, we just solved a quadratic equation. If a parabola crosses the x-axis twice, it's going to have 2 solutions, right? Well, the 2 solutions are in here. Everybody take your calculator. Pick up your calculator. Type in 6 plus the square root of 26. And then hit enter. And then hit divided by 2. Or you can put parentheses around all that, and then what do you get? 5.549. Okay. Now the other answer. What's the other answer? Yeah, 6 minus the square root of 26 divided by 2. Try that one. Type that one in your calculator. 0.45. All right. They're both irrational numbers, aren't they? They're decimals that go on forever. Don't repeat a pattern. Now, which way do you think we prefer the answer? Depends, right? Depends on what you're looking for. Okay? Most of the time in your books and on ACT tests and things like that, guess which way they're going to want the answer? This way right here. Okay? If you're doing a real life problem and you're trying to get close, you're trying to get a measurement you got to take, then which one are you going to want? Probably that one right there, right? And you'd probably just round it the nearest tenth or something like that. Depends on how precise you have to be. Okay? And that's what you're doing right there. Okay? Kind of understand the quadratic formula? Yeah. Okay? You want to try one? Okay, we're going to try one. Okay, on your own. Everybody do this one right here. I want you to do this problem and check with your shoulder partner. Get help with your shoulder partner if you need it. 3x squared minus, let's go 7x minus 5 equals 0. Okay, I want you to solve that quadratic formula. I'm going to give you a couple minutes. Okay, check to see if you get it right. I'm going to do it. X equals negative b. And you guys, I like to do this. A equals 3. B equals what? Negative 7. C equals what? Negative 5. Okay, x equals the opposite of b. What would that be? Plus or minus the square root of b squared. What would that be? 49, not negative 49, right? Minus 4 times 3 times negative 5. All over what? 2 times 3 is 6. We'll make that one fast. Okay, how many of you tried to do it in your head first? Good. For those of you did. I like to forget the negative right here, and I go 4 times 3 is 12, and 12 times a negative 5 is a negative 60, right? 49 minus a negative 60 is the same thing as 49 plus 60, which is 109. All divided by 6. Since 109 won't simplify, and there's not a number in front of here if it doesn't simplify, right? We're done. That's it. X equals, there's my 2 answers. Okay, that's all further you need to do. You don't need to do it, find the irrational decimal unless it asks for it, okay? All right, now, we need to talk about something else right here. When you guys, we got to talk about the 3 possibilities that you can have for solutions. Now, this is building up to what we're going to do next. So you got to really get this part, okay? What's the graph of a quadratic equation every time? It's a parabola. Is it possible to get, and what are we looking for on that parabola? The zeros. And what are zeros? X-intercepts. So is it possible that a parabola is going to cross the graph twice? Okay, so it's possible that a parabola is going to cross the x-axis twice, so that's when we get 2 solutions. Okay, now those 2 problems that we just did were like this, right? Are there other possibilities? No solution. What would that look like? Above it or below it? If it could be going down like that, or it could be going up like this, right? And it never crosses the x-axis. What would we say that has? We say no solution in real numbers, but I will show you that it has 2 imaginary solutions later on. Okay? Because the square root, guess what the square root's going to come out to be? A negative number. And we'll talk about that in a second. There's one other possibility. Can you guys think of that? No? Say that again? What do you mean by all of it? Actually, I'm going to tell you what, there's going to be, you can't have infinitely many solutions with this. Okay? Say that? One solution, that's it. How would that happen? Yeah, it goes down and it touches it right here like this. The vertex sits on the x-axis. Okay? And that would give you one solution. Okay, so could that be a square root one that goes negative and touches it? Are you talking about like this?
Except it goes from the y-axis and flip it over and go from the y-axis.
Come and draw a picture of what you're talking about. The answer I can tell you is no already, but you're thinking of something, so let's make sure we know. Well, remember that quadratic equations are always going to be opening up or opening down. They'll never be opening sideways. That's a square root function, but we're talking about quadratic functions. It's the inverse of the quadratic. No, it's not a quadratic. It becomes a different kind of function. Okay? That's good thinking, though, Colby. Sorry. I've got a nephew named Kelby, so. All right, good thinking. Now, you guys, this is what I need to show you. You know the part inside the square root, b squared minus 4ac? This is called the discriminant. So just the b squared minus 4ac is called the discriminant. It discriminates numbers. Go ahead, Kai, say it. No, I mean what you said before. It's racist. Okay. All right. It discriminates. It's racist. Okay. All right. Okay. That's what discriminant means, that you're just separating things, right? You're discriminating them. And that's what we're doing right here. We're discriminating. And this is the deal. You guys, we get three possibilities. You can either get b squared minus 4ac to be greater than 0. What kind of number is greater than 0? Positive numbers, right? You can get a positive b squared minus 4ac. Or you can get b squared minus 4ac to be equal to 0. Or you can have b squared minus 4ac be less than 0, which means it's a negative number. Now, in other words, this is going to tell us what kinds of solutions we're going to get. Guess what kind of solutions? If I get a positive number in there, like we did on those two examples we did, what kind of solutions? Going back to this, what kind of solutions do you think we're going to get? 2 real solutions, right? Okay, so we're going to get 2 real solutions. And if we get 0, guess which one of these we're going to get? We're going to get 1 solution, because remember the plus or minus the square root of 0. Well, what is the square root of 0? 0. And so plus or minus 0 is not going to change the answer. How many answers are you going to get? 1. Okay? So there's 1 solution. And if b squared minus 4c is less than 0, a negative number, you're going to get what? You're going to get 2 imaginary solutions. Okay? 2 imaginary solutions. Okay? That's what you're going to get. So if my discriminant comes out to be negative, I'm going to get something like this graph right here, where it's not going to be touching the x-axis at all, or crossing it. If I get a positive discriminant, it's going to be like this one. And if I get a 0 discriminant, it's going to be like this one. Okay? You guys ready for a little activity we're going to do? Okay, so you guys are going to take your squares that you just cut out. You can listen again if you want. And you are going to determine the discriminant on each one. Yeah, write on the card, write down what the discriminant is, okay? So you're going to take each one of those cards and you're going to figure out what the discriminant is. It's either going to be coming out positive, 4 are going to be positive, 4 are going to be 0, and 4 are going to be negative. You're going to separate them into those 4 piles. There's a total of 12 of them, right? 12 of those cards. You're going to separate them into those categories. Discriminants that are positive, discriminants that are 0, and discriminants that are negative. Remember, the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. So plug them in each one, figure out the discriminant. Carly, give me an example. What does it say? Yeah. Plus 4 equals 0? Okay. Okay, what is A right here, you guys? What is A? A is 1. What's B? And what is C? 4. So I'm going to go b squared. 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times 4, right? That's 9. 4 times 1 times 4 is 16. 9 minus 16 is negative 7. There's one of my negative ones. Okay? That's all you do. Okay. Here's the b squared minus 4ac. All we're looking for is the discriminant. That's the part of the quadratic equation that's underneath the square root. Huh? Yeah, we were talking about the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula is b squared minus 4ac. I'll show you right here. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of what? Minus 4ac all over 2a. b squared minus 4ac is the discriminant right there. It's going to tell you what kinds of solutions you're going to get. Got it? Okay. Okay, now that you have made your foldable, this part says the discriminant is is. Okay, the discriminant is. Okay, what you're going to do, let's do the 0 one first. Let's take one of the 0 ones, just one of them. You're going to write at the very top of this box right here, you're going to write b squared minus 4ac equals 0. Okay? So b squared minus 4ac equals 0. Take one of them that you got 0 on. Right here. Okay. Okay. Take one of them, b squared minus 4ac equals 0. And you're going to take one of your boxes and you're going to glue it in right there. Okay? Yeah. b squared minus 4ac equals 0. What's the box? One that says 0. Did you get 0 on that one? No, that one's not going to be 0. If you got 0, you got 1. Find one that she had that's 0. And you guys, in your little box, you should have written what you put in for B, A, and C, and then it showed that you got 0. And then over here off to the side, you're going to show a picture. In fact, I want you to graph this into your calculator. The one that you chose, I want you to graph in your calculator. Let's say it came down and it touched right there. Okay? And you're going to put touch. 1, and you're going to put 1 solution. Okay, 1 solution. Okay? In the next one, you're going to do b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0. So you're going to pick one that was a, what kind of number? Positive number. And you're going to put that one in this box. You're going to put one of those right there. You're going to draw a picture of it over here. And you're going to show how it crossed the x-axis twice so that you got 2 solutions. Okay? And then you're going to do one right here that's b squared minus 4ac is less than 0. You're going to put one of the boxes, one of your problems, out of the 4 that was less than 0 right there. You're going to graph it on your calculator, transfer the graph over here, and show that it never touches the x-axis, so there's no real solutions, but that there are 2 imaginary solutions. You guys will have more room to write on yours than I have to write on mine right here. But that's what your foldable is going to look like. We will be using the discriminant on, not the assignment I give you today, but on the next assignment to distinguish between types of answers you're going to get. Okay, you guys, I was wrong. On the assignment, this is what we're doing. You're going to do the odds, okay? I should have you do them all. It's pretty easy to find the discriminant. I know. We're going to do the odds. Okay, number 1, I'm going to give you an example. 35x squared minus 2x minus 1 equals 0. All you're going to do right here is b squared, which is negative 2 squared, minus 4 times a, which is 35, times c, which is negative 1. That's going to be 4, and that's going to be 4 times 35 is 140, times a negative 1 is a negative 140. 4 minus a negative 140 is positive 144. Since I got a positive number, what kind of solutions or roots am I going to have? 2 what? 2 real solutions, right? Yep. That's the answers. 2 real solutions. Okay. Yeah, just a second. Let me do a couple of these examples and I'll go back to it. Okay, do you understand what we did right here? Okay. All right. Let's go to another one. Let's go to, let's do number 6. Yeah, but it's a good one to show you. Okay, I would suggest using your calculator for this one. Okay, everybody do 6. I'm going to require 6 in addition to the rest of them. Okay. Okay, so if we're going to do b squared minus 4ac, b squared would be negative 64 squared minus 4 times a, which is negative 30, times c, which is a negative 32. I would type that in your calculator exactly like that. Type that in your calculator, tell me what you get. I would everybody type it in your calculator to see if you get the same answer. What'd you say? 3,800 and what? Was it positive? I was thinking it should be a negative number, but I could be wrong. Someone just tell me, what is 64 squared? 49 what? 4096. 4,096. And then this is going to end up being a negative number because you got a negative, negative, negative. You got an odd number of negatives. 4 times 30 times 32. Just someone go 4 times 30 times 32. You don't have to do the negatives. 4 times 30 times 32. What is that? 3,840. Oh, it's going to end up being a positive number, isn't it? No, so what? So 4,096 minus 3,840. What is it? 256 is a positive number, so we're going to get what kind of solutions? 2 real solutions, right? Okay. Any questions there? Okay. Now, if you get a negative number, you're going to get 2 imaginary solutions. And if you get 0, you're going to get 1 real solution.